Hello again, and if you're new here, hi for the very first time. My name is Lynn. I'm going to be diving into the creepy dark corner of Reddit. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm saying. We're going to look at paranormal encounters, the subreddit paranormal encounters. We're just going to read some possible real life paranormal activities / counters, it's the worst intro I've ever done in my life. Okay. First story, shower prank. I'm a strong believer that if you acknowledge something, it gets stronger. This happened to me months ago, and I just want to put it out into the world in hopes that it takes away the temptation to bring this up to my fiance all the time. One evening after work, I went to shower. I will admit that I had not slept the night before, so I was incredibly tired. I had music as loud as it would go on my phone, so I could hear it over the rushing water. About midway through, my music volume lowered to silent. I turned around to open the curtain and find out why when my fiance pulled back the curtain a little bit, stuck his head into the shower, and grinned at me. I looked at him with confusion, and he popped his head out before turning the light off and closing the bathroom door. To say I was furious is an understatement. I really don't like certain kinds of pranks. Call me lame if you want, and the one involving wet and slippery darkness just hit me hard with how tired I was. I immediately stepped out of the shower, flipped the light back on. The switch is right between the shower and the door. There's only about a foot between the two as they share a wall. And stormed out of the bathroom without even getting a towel. I found my fiance sitting at his computer with his headset on and absolutely laid into him. He had a confused and panicked expression as I asked why he would think that was funny, telling him to never do that again. He asked me to explain what he did wrong, which made me even angrier. But when he said he'd been playing since before I went to the shower, I believed him. To begin with, he hates pranks even more than I do. We've been together for 6 years, and he's never so much as jumped out from a corner to startle me. And I've never seen him mess with anyone else. He is not the type of person that would even think to do something like that. But I was so tired that none of that sank in before I lost it on him. Okay, along with simply not being the type, the setup of the apartment would have made it impossible for him to get back to the office without me hearing. Between the bathroom and the office, there's a noisy metal baby gate. The living room, the kitchen, another noisy metal baby gate in the office doorway. I would have also heard his footsteps on the wooden floor if he were moving as quickly as he would have needed to. I've thought about it over and over. It's the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me. And I went to write it off as me being sleep deprived, but I had to turn my music back up. I had to flip the light switch back on. I had to open the bathroom door to get out. We leave it open when we shower because it's just the two of us and the bathroom has poor ventilation for steam. I made him check the apartment for anyone else, even though I know what he looks like. In the face was him. I asked him to stay in the bathroom with me until I washed the conditioner out of my hair. I think about this every time I shower now. We've had some random things happen before that. Stuff moving to places we know we didn't put it. Sounds we couldn't rationalize forever. The motion sensor triggering on cameras over nothing. But nothing nowhere near that level before then. I don't know what I'm looking for here other than a moment to wring out my brain. But if anyone has had a similar experience, the misery would welcome some company. Comment, that motherfucker's not real. Holy shit, that is absolutely terrifying. Another comment, hello there, sounds like you have a mimic on your hands. I highly recommend a spiritual cleanse of the house. Crazy. Another story, someone's posting about their 4 experience from my youth. 1, pranked, ? I was completely home alone one evening. I turned off the TV in my bedroom. It was 90s style box TV. Anyway, I go shower, and when I got out of the shower, the TV wouldn't turn back on. Did the power go off? No. All the lights are on, and the power isn't out. Maybe the TV's power cord got loose. I checked behind the TV. It wasn't just the power cord. It was also the cord to my VCR and the cable box. All 3 cables had been disconnected. All 3. Did someone come home and try to play a prank on me? No. Quick tour of the house was confirmed I was alone. And how would they have known I was watching TV before I showered? Oh my goodness, had someone broke in and tried to steal my TV? Well, I don't think so. I hadn't noticed anything just moments ago. Plus, why would they want my ratty old TV when there was nicer stuff in the home, including a nicer TV in the living room and another quick tour of the house, this time looking under the beds and in the closets. I even went into my parents' room and peeked in the shower. Nothing. No one. Back in my room, I plugged all the cables back in with a much more courage and calmness as I could muster. I said something like, okay, you got me. It didn't think anything funny. Please don't do that again. I went about my evening until my parents and siblings came back home. I don't even think I would speak out loud. Nar. Number 2, disembodied voices. It was about 2 a.m. I just hung up the phone with my girlfriend. I heard what I thought was muffled voices over white noise. Maybe the TV was on. My sibling a room over was scared of the dark and would usually put the TV on sleep setting. I thought maybe they forgot to do that, and then I opened the bedroom door. The voices sounded lower, but the white noise sounded louder, as if it were coming from the direction of my sibling's bedroom. I made my way to the bedroom, but when I put my ear up to the door, the noise sounded like it was coming from the living room. At the front of the house, maybe this was some sort of nighttime Doppler effect thing. I made my way to the living room, down a T-shaped hallway, and the noise gets louder. But as soon as I come to the front of the house and open up the living room, nothing. Silence. Noise is completely gone. Weird. That's weird. Number 3. Did the dark just play a trick on me? I felt hands gently shaking me awake right at my shoulder and chest. When I opened my eyes, I saw a figure in the shape of a man, but darker than the dark of my bedroom, kneeling at my bedside. The second I saw it, I knew it wasn't a man. Oops, spooky. But I don't know how I knew that, in that I didn't want it to harm me, just wake me up. A second later, it stood up and took a step back and completely vanished. I sat up and looked around. Again, you're insane. 4, WTFH. What is that? WTH. Oh, what the fucking hell? Okay, that's what that means. Something startled me awake, and when it did, I was wide awake and afraid. Suddenly, I heard what sounded like plastic bag being ruffled at the doorway to my bedroom. I couldn't explain why the noise was so scary, but it was basically terrified when the noise moved from the door to the center of my bedroom, to the foot of my bed, to right next to my bed. I was panicking. What the F is going on? But I was so scared, I was frozen. The only thing I could move was my eyes. Suddenly, the noise was gone, but I felt something straddle me. Oh. LMAO, like literally there was this pressure on my hips and on my chest. That's when I squeezed my eyes shut and tried to make myself sit up, but failed. I couldn't move. Then I felt this weird, odd, wispy like something hover right above my mouth, almost like a feathered kiss to my lips. Then it was gone. Oh, it's just one of those little smoochy. Comment. Last 2 sound like sleep paralysis. Ever had a history of sleep paralysis? I've had, and this shit will rock your world the first couple of times. Feel very much like the Upside Down. Or some kind of paranormal underworld. Who's to say it's not? All right, I say it's not. I say sometimes your brain gets stuck in like in between sleep and awake, and you know your body thinks you're awake, but you're actually dreaming. You are asleep. You're fully asleep. Next story. My real life haunted house experience. So this all started when I was around the age 14, 12 years ago. My younger brother and I decided to swap rooms. From the first night I slept in my new room, weird things started happening. I usually sleep through the night, but I started abruptly waking up at exactly 2:17 on the dot every single night. Barf. Each time I would wake up, I always felt that sense that something was watching me from the corner of my bedroom. Always. I felt good energy from spirits before when family members have passed, but this was something different. It seemed invasive, intimidating, and I was freaked out. Whatever this was could see me, but I couldn't see it. It was weird when I slept at my mom's house. I never woke up at 2:17, only at my dad's house. Well, I mean, it just sounds like you were just uncomfortable in your room, to be honest. You know, new environment, you switch rooms with your brother, and you're like, oh, this is weird. It's your brain playing tricks. Small occurrences started to happen. I was staying at my mom's when my dad informed me my alarm clock radio turned on by itself in the middle of the night at full volume and woke up the whole family. I hadn't been to his house in days. When I was home again, my little brother and I would play in the driveway. He had to go to the bathroom, so he went back to the house. But all of a sudden, a tennis ball came flying out of the garage. He was nowhere in the garage. One night, I heard paper shuffling on my desk, even though the window was closed. A different morning, I watched my dad's sunglasses on the kitchen counter move several inches by themselves when I was the only one awake. Okay. Uh, my older sibling began to believe me when random lights would come on by themselves in the house. What was strange is that we caught onto the pattern that the paranormal activity would happen mostly when my little brother wasn't home. Ah, poo. I say no. No to all that. Absolutely not. Not happening. No. Fast forward to when the house was empty. Since my parents were on vacation, my grandma would check in on the house and my siblings each time they go back. A new light would be on. The last night before my parents came back from vacation, she triple checked all the lights were off. My parents were surprised when they arrived home to find every light in the house on. My grandma swore the house was cursed and refused to visit anymore. My stepmom then began to believe my paranormal experience. Ah, spook. I'd say no thanks. I'd be praying. Absolutely not. My older brother and I heard footsteps running up and down the stairs together one night when my younger brother was at a sleepover. It really freaked us out. At one point, it even got dangerous. The gas stove and burners had been turned on by themselves on low overnight. If any of this had been a prank previously, I can guarantee no one in our family would mess around like that, putting our lives in danger. Understood. My dad finally began to believe me about 8 months into this haunting thing when all the kids were at home one night. He heard whispering in the hallway. He freaked out, grabbed his knife, thinking they were robbers. When he opened the door, he found my TV had turned on by itself and people were talking on the TV with low volume. The last thing that ever happened was one night I'd come out of the shower and I went to change my room. The mirror was foggy from the steam. My older brother knocked on my door and asked what I wrote on the mirror. Confused, I went to look. We both sat there in awe as the letters began to show up in front of us. The whole family gathered around and to decipher it. It said, "I'm watching." The last word we couldn't figure out. Our family didn't know how to justify what we saw. After the day occurrence stopped, I stopped waking up every night. A year later, my dad called me and said he found something really weird on my brother's birth certificate. He asked, "Didn't you used to say that Nick was somehow connected to haunted stuff that happened in the house?" After confirming, he casually mentioned that my younger brother was born exactly at 2:17 a.m. I was speechless. This was no coincidence. From that day on, I have so many more questions than answers. 2 years ago, I had a psychic medium meeting, and after sharing my story, she said how the entity targeted me because I acknowledged it. It was no longer in the house. She confidently said it was an entity like this had attached to an object or a person that has since left the house. I definitely think something was attached to my younger brother. Boof. Those were some paranormal encounter stories. I hope you enjoy. I just wanted to make another one of these Reddit videos and have that go out. I'd like to do it more because I know I haven't done any since the last one. I'd like to get a couple more in, just a couple more in. So thank you for sticking around. Like, comment, subscribe. I still have the Resident Evil videos coming out. I'm also going to be doing some Rust videos because we've been doing some events on the D4 Fam Rust server. So that's going to be fun. So I'll see y'all next time. Bye.